Here we go. All right. Welcome back, y'all. Season 1, Episode 7 of Surfing the Tide. Welcome back to it. We got a pretty cool episode on deck today. We got Hudson Underwood from BamaSports on tonight. And, yeah.
Glad to be here, guys. It's been a good week. Things are finally starting to freeze up a little bit. Summer's getting cold.
Yeah.
We've been lucky enough to really get to see what a full bouldered up staff can do and the avalanche they can cause. So it's been pretty
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah, I mean, recruiting's been off the charts recently, especially this past week. You know, Micah Debose commits middle of his visit on a Saturday. And interesting, Ryan Williams goes live, invites Micah Debose up to the stage, and Debose announces his commitment. Mobile kid, so him and Ryan grew up together, friends. So I just want to get y'all's thoughts kind of on another big addition to the offensive line. You know, that offensive line's really shaping up right now.
Well, having a Mobile kid, obviously Mobile pride right here, Roll Tide from the 251. But yeah, he kind of kicked our butt when he played us. I'll actually pull up some of his highlights really quick. But as we've showed y'all in a I think it was episode like 6 or 5 or something like that, he absolutely pancaked a guy. It was hilarious. But
he has a lot of Lester Cotton in him. Lot of Lester Cotton.
I like that comparison. He's an aggressive guy that, you know, he plays tackle in high school, but definitely play on that interior. And
I saw On 3 has him rated specifically as an IOL. He a lot of things in DeBoer's offense you'll see, and you'll go and you saw it with Michael Penix, especially when you look at things from kind of a Madden angle compared to an off the side angle, and a lot of DeBoer's scheme. When they run those jets, they'll slide the guards. Just watching these highlights and the way he moves on that play right there, he caves the guy towards the sideline. He's going to be a great guy to pull in and out and slide across. Just these highlights speak for itself and what he can do. And I 100% get why Coach DeBoer and the staff was very urgent to get him on board.
Yeah, he was the guy that they visited really fast. You know, when they got here, they went straight to Mobile. I remember seeing on Twitter one of their first stops was at Viger High School. And Debose, like you said, the way he moves and even I think, you know, the Alabama staff, even just the past 5 years especially, have been known to, you know, get guys' bodies right when they get on campus. I mean, you look at Jaheim Otis getting on campus and all the weight he lost. And I'm not saying Debose needs to lose weight, but I think if he were to lose some and put on better weight, I think that could, you know, make them even better than he already is. But yeah, Debose actually, I spoke to someone close to Debose the other day and said he's actually transferring high schools this coming season. So I forgot where it was.
Theodore.
Yeah, he's transferring to Theodore.
He's on Ingram at the high school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he'll be at Theodore. Definitely a more demanding program. And a one that I think he'll improve in a lot, and he'll play a lot better competition as well. So,
talking about getting the bodies right, obviously Tyler Booker's had a lot of great offseason interviews this past offseason currently, and it's been amazing. I don't think it was the Barstool guys. I forgot who he was interviewing with, and I think it was Tyler Booker. If not, it was someone else that's going to be getting very impressive snaps on the offensive line. Said they had lost 20, 30 pounds. And he said in live reps how much better he felt, how much more he thinks he contributes on the football field. And you see a guy, obviously you saw in a lot of those highlights, when you see a guy like that out by the first down markers and getting out there in space with a lot of the stuff that we're going to be running, hopefully off the tackles, and when we're going to be pulling guards cross formations, you're going to want to be able to move to your absolute maximum capability with the most weight and muscle that you can. So that's just a phenomenal addition.
For sure.
I completely agree. And, you know, I mean, speaking of that, just adding on, even J.C. Latham said he lost a little bit of weight this offseason. Caden Proctor lost some weight this offseason. I think the offensive line overbulked this past year. I think they were a little that kind of showed they didn't move as well. But like you said, Booker losing that weight is big, and Jaden Roberts is just a monster in general. Like I've never seen an offensive lineman that big with veins popping out of his biceps. So that's the in and of itself. But
he legit looks like the Hulk.
yeah, but talking about a guy that'll be going up against a guy like Debose in practice, or maybe a tackle, but that's Dawson Merritt, who actually just committed today or yesterday when y'all will see this. Recruited to play that new Wolf position in the new Alabama defense, that swarm defense, kind of that outside linebacker role where he can rush the passer, drop into space, play inside if he needs to, but really do anything asked of him out there. So out of Kansas, I believe, beat out schools like Nebraska and Oklahoma and schools like that. So big addition. Super explosive off the edge. You'll see in his highlights. Super athletic guy. I asked him the other day. He said he's about 6'3", 220 right now. So just wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this addition.
First thing you look at when you see his film, you're going to see him off the left right here. Watch him move the way he goes sideline to sideline. And I saw one earlier when he committed, and I've gotten a chance to talk to Dawson a little bit. I'd like to be the first to say he is a phenomenal character. Absolutely phenomenal. He you're going to see a lot of these clips. Watch how he gets sideline to sideline. I mean, he is
two guys there.
I mean, right here, he's tracking 15 yards back down the field after covering the sideline. He's able to. This is the exact clip I saw earlier. The first thing that comes to mind, and there's a lot of recency bias here. The first thing that comes to mind is Dallas Turner. Yeah, and not just any Dallas Turner, a freshman year Dallas Turner, because a lot of Alabama fans, especially those that love the X's and O's of the game, will remember when Dallas really burst onto the scene against Texas A&M, and in that SEC championship and in that national championship against Georgia and Indianapolis, the way he flew around and caused Stetson Bennett so many problems. That's the kind of player I see in Dawson Merritt.
Yep. I
completely agree with that. I'll tell you another player I kind of see in him. If those who remember, Rashawn Evans actually played that outside linebacker edge position in high school. And the way he moves sideline to sideline, that speed. Obviously, Evans ended up playing inside linebacker in college, which I don't foresee for Merritt. But just the way he moves off the ball, his speed, his quickness, the way he can rush the passer, but also drop back, kind of gives me those Auburn high school Rashawn Evans vibes. But I like the Turner comparison too, just the way he gets down the line of scrimmage and the way he moves and kind of his build, and definitely a lot of room to add some more weight if he would like. But a phenomenal prospect.
Watching some of these clips of him off the edge, obviously people watch this through different platforms. You'll see the way he's off the tackle's shoulders. You'll see his vision you'll see his 90-degree vision of what's in front of him. Just really, really impressive stuff to see that, process that, get there. It's absolutely phenomenal job by Christian Robinson getting a guy like this in here. Absolutely phenomenal.
And he's being recruited to play Wolf. I know that. And we're trying to get 1 to 2 Wolves in this class, right? And we're going after Justin Hill.
Yeah. So the staff is pretty happy with 1, but they would like 2. I believe Justin Hill is obviously that other priority right now. He decides on July 3rd, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
I saw he was visiting Oregon today.
Yeah, or he is visiting Oregon, but I think it's, barring anything unforeseen, I think it's kind of that Ohio State, Bama vibe. He is from Cincinnati, so it's a hard pull, but Bama's done a good job. Christian Robinson, you cannot understate how good of a job he's done so far in Alabama.
I've gotten a chance to talk to him a little bit. He's just a phenomenal person. He loves what he does. He's been almost everywhere in the SEC. He's been to Georgia. He's been to the Mississippi schools. He's been to Alabama. 99% sure he had a stint at Baylor as well. He's been
to Florida and all.
I didn't want to say Florida because I couldn't quite remember. But you think about some of the – and he was at Missouri. He dealt with he obviously just had the Missouri linebacker that went to the Packers. I mean, he's dealt with phenomenal talent. And he has made use of every bit of talent he has had. If you're an Alabama fan, obviously coming off the old staff, if you're looking for something to look forward towards the future, it's him right there.
Oh, yeah.
He has some guys he's bringing in. Big shoes to fill. Obviously, Hudson did a great job with those outside linebackers the past few years, but I definitely think that's the guy to do it. And one thing I've heard, and what you say makes sense now, or what I've heard makes sense now after you saying this. But one thing I've heard about Christian Robinson specifically, and really a lot of the staff, is his ability to kind of not just connect with the kids, of course, but like the parents and like the family. He's done a phenomenal building those relationships, as have many of the other Alabama staff.
As someone who's interested, obviously, Noah, I mean, you were talking about this earlier. We would love to do that one day for ourselves. Yeah. One thing I've noticed so much more in the new era of recruiting, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Jatavis Sanders and Corrigan Johnson, the two people really behind the whole deal. They've done absolutely phenomenal. Once again, got to talk to Jatavis in a similar setting as Christian Robinson. These people have done such a good job in the new era. Obviously, you saw it a lot. You really saw it with Ryan Williams near the end of the Saban tenure. You have really seen their families get involved on campus. Oh, yeah. You see them. Obviously, you got to see them in a lot of pictures. You're seeing whole groups of families. You're seeing them socialize. You're seeing them eat meals with these people. And obviously, that's something that's always happened. But the fact you're seeing that on the computers and you're seeing it on the screens, it really puts in the average fan's eyes, and not just people like us who really love to see everything that we can. Someone can log on to, let's say, Facebook now after a day at work, and they can really see how their families are connecting with the new staff instead of the old Bama Online, the insider bubble. I think that's really I think everyone's starting to see it. I think it's a great thing.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. I mean, even saw a few weeks ago Chuck McDonald's dad and Courtney Morgan and Mo Linguist. A video went online, them all smoking cigars and hanging out together, which is just something you did not see a year ago. And that's something that I've really enjoyed seeing. It kind of seems like a new, fresh energy, like a lot of people are saying. And it's good to see, these guys connecting with families and stuff. And that's, like you said, it's become a big part of recruiting, especially in Tuscaloosa.
What's been really, really impressive is like that one weekend that they had 50 or 70 guys on campus or something like that. Visits.
In the spring.
Yeah. And I mean, having to be able to talk to them and their families and maybe a friend or two that they bring along possibly, and getting to shake every single one of their hands and making time to build at least the start of a relationship with every single person there, or at least attempt it. Dude, that's beyond impressive. That's awesome. I mean, the energy that this staff has brought is just beyond impressive. I love it.
Yeah, this staff is built on relationships.
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, well, I will say the staff is not only, good recruiters, but had been proven to be really good coaches on the field and practice field, all that good stuff. And I heard a question earlier today. Actually, one of my friends asked me, and I have my answer, which I answered to him. But I want to hear y'all's answer first. Obviously, Alabama brings in probably the most anticipated freshman receiver since Julio Jones and Ryan Williams. He asked me, keeping in mind that Ryan Williams, just enrolled. He's just now starting team workouts and practices and everything, but also keeping in mind that he's a generational prospect. What is a reasonable expectation, maybe stat-wise, playing-wise, snap-wise, mostly stats, but just kind of what's a reasonable, I think he could accomplish this year?
Me and Watley, obviously Watley's not here. We were actually talking about that today. He's sitting in a group chat with all of us. What's a reason? He was asking the exact same thing. What's a reasonable number of snaps? And I was sitting there thinking, and I actually kind of stared at the message for a moment. Was just thinking. And all you can really ask, obviously, you're going to have guys. Obviously, Jalen Hale won't be around most of the year, if not all of it. You're going to have Bernard. You're going to have Law. I think it's reasonable right now that the main thing you ask of Ryan Williams is just getting better.
Yeah, for sure.
Get the looks. Get looks. Yeah. You're gonna have Missouri is gonna have a good secondary. You're gonna have, I guess they're not gonna be two teammates anymore. You have Jacquez Robinson and Antonio Kite down at Auburn. You're gonna have guys that you've seen. You're gonna have guys that a lot of your teammates have seen, and and I think it's very reasonable to say he's going to get snaps, and that's so exciting for us. But right now, you have to take everything so slowly. I think him just getting snaps, bringing him in empty sets, bringing him in trips, bringing him in things like that where they can move him around. You want him to get looks. That's all. I think right now in June of 2024, He committed less than, what is it now, 5 months ago, and he's a year early. I think all you can ask for is getting looks.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that he should be a senior in high school, about to be getting ready for prom. I mean, that's just wild, man. But I mean, it's kind of like Julio came in and immediately made an impact in his freshman year. He led all the receivers that year. But I mean, it's not even kind of. It's a lot different with this staff because, I mean, Alabama is Alabama now. It's not 2007 anymore. It's 2024. And so you've already got impactful receivers at those positions. So honestly, I think it could go one of two ways, and I've already made my mind of which way I think it's going to go, and I'll say that in a second. But the two ways that it could go is one, he just takes a role position in the back and he learns. He learns from the veterans and he gets better over time, like you were saying. Like that's the only thing that we can really ask of him right this second is, hey, let's get better, let's develop more, and then you're going to be truly elite come sophomore and junior year. You're going to go to the league after that, and that's it. Or it could go like Julio's did, which I don't think is the more likely route, which is he just rises so fast. And I know he's working out with the 4s and 5s. I saw that on Twitter today. And it's just eating him alive, and that's what Coach Shepard was talking about, how he loves seeing that. And so because of that, I think that work ethic is going to come through, but I don't think that it's going to skyrocket him as much as that second option would have him do. But that second option being he skyrockets and he just is an absolute phenom year one. He goes off for like 1,000 yards or something. Who knows? I mean, Julio almost did that freshman year. So I think it's going to be the former, though. I think he's going to take more of a role position behind Kobe Prentice and guys like that, and the more experienced guys at that position. But
he's got two great guys to learn from. Obviously, Prentice is going on 2 years with an old regime and a year now with the new staff.
I told my friend back in February, I said I think Prentice is going to work his way into an early second, first-round pick this year. I
think so too.
They and obviously the first newcomer you obviously think of. For me on offense, I think of Jeremy Bernard.
Exactly.
I mean, the way he got worked around in DeBoer's offense at Washington, I feel like Jeremy Bernard was obviously we're kind of drifting off Ryan Williams here.
Yeah.
But I really do think Jeremy Bernard is what Alabama was missing last year.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, so who do you think he's replacing, though? Do you think he's replacing Burton or Bond?
I think he's replacing a Bond more so, and just the ways he's able to be worked around in the offense. Burton, obviously phenomenal route runner and deep threat, but I think the way you can slide around Bernard, I think it brings him just that one extra bit of utility. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that kind of as my leaning answer, but obviously, you're really going to miss Jalen Hale because I feel like Jalen Hale is the more Burton replacement. But
what about you, Noah? What you think?
I want to say, back on the Ryan Williams topic, like you said, Washington was able to use Jeremy Bernard a lot last year in certain packages and stuff. Jeremy Bernard was wide receiver 4 at Washington last year, I think that when you look at this season, I think there's a chance that Ryan Williams works his way up to that role, not the beginning of the season, but towards the middle, towards the end, as the season goes, works his way up to that and starts getting involved like that. Like you said, all you can really ask of him is get looks. Like Saban said, you can't teach experience. Experience is one of the biggest things in football. You can be a 5-star, play in your first game, and get absolutely cooked by a former 3-star that is a super senior, right? Just because he knows what he's doing more. He has more experience in a college game. So I told my friend statistically, I think statistically would be a little around 400 all purpose. I think
20 catches, 300 yards.
Yeah. I mean, 400, I think anywhere between 300 to 500 is a reasonable expectation. 20, a lot of times, I think, he'll have a few carries on jets. They like to use Bernard a lot. If you look at his highlight reels from Washington, half of it were on those jet sweeps and those slides that you were saying, those orbit motions. But, like you said, all you can really ask him is keep competing. And like you said, Shepard said today, he's running with the 4s and 5s, obviously, because he's an early enrollee, early enrollee. He reclassed, freshman, just got there, running with the 4s and 5s, of course, which, makes sense. But the fact that it's burning him alive, I think, is a really good sign. for Alabama fans, because it shows he knows that he was really good in high school, but he also is like he knows he needs to compete. He knows that it's not given, it's earned, right? So that's something you like to see, especially early from a 17-year-old with that kind of maturity, like Ryan.
Yeah.
So I think the maturity that he has can also go a long way
Yeah.
in his role this year. And just obviously, I think Coach Shepard's going to play a huge factor. And I think that Shepard might end up being a little partial to Ryan, just because he already sees this mindset that he has. So I really think he'll get involved more as the season goes.
Definitely. And what do you think about the Burton and Bond question?
To me, Burton was the more complete receiver,
Sure.
which I also think Jeremy is the more complete receiver. Bond was obviously a great player, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, take away 4th and 31, who really made the bigger impact on our season?
Yeah.
And miles is Jermaine Burton. The way he took over without Jermaine Burton, we don't win the A&M game.
Yeah.
Jermaine Burton took over the Texas A&M game. He was crucial. The catches he made in the Tennessee game kept us alive and kept us going. He made some ridiculous catches. I think he dropped one pass all year.
Both years. Let's not forget about Jermaine Burton in Tennessee. Both years.
Yeah, both years. Yeah.
True.
And he did that in the Tennessee game.
Yeah. So I really think that, it's more of a Jermaine Burton replacement when it comes to reliability and just that overall, being a complete wide receiver aspect. But no diss to Bond, but I think that this is more of a Jermaine Burton.
It's amazing because people are talking about Ryan and Julio right now. A lot of people actually forget this, and I actually forgot about it. And while he was talking, I was still kind of stemming back to the original question. I think a lot of people forget Julio had almost 15 more catches his freshman year than he did his sophomore year. I think that's what a lot of people forget. And going off of that, I think obviously right now when you really put the future in the next about 3 years into this, you really think it's going to be opposite. You really think that it's going to be gradual. Julio went from in the 50s catches to in the 40s catches. And all of a sudden in 2010, he caught almost 80 passes for, I think it was around 1,100, little more, little less yards. Yeah. So I think it'll be very funny to see kind of, I guess you put it on a line graph. It'll be funny to see how everyone's kind of trajections among some of the classic Alabama receivers that are household names. I think it'll be funny to put that up. Ryan Williams is up with theirs.
Definitely.
I completely agree. I could see an upward trajectory as well, just because every year we're going to, not that we're losing, not that we're not gaining people too, but the fact that we're going to lose people to the NFL and eligibility, and Ryan's just going to keep rising up, and his natural ability is just going to cause him to rise up in front of some of these guys as well. So I really think that, he's only going to get better each year, in my opinion, like you said. But no, I'm excited for it. But also, speaking of other receivers, I saw today Coach Shepard, he was on the radio, of course, and he said that Cole Adams has been a standout, which I actually love to see because he was very impressive in the A-Day game to me. He looked like one of the best receivers out there. To me, just the way they used him on the jet sweeps and on those passes over the middle when Simpson would roll out. So I just want to get y'all's thoughts. I remember watching his film in high school. I thought he was a very solid receiver. There's a reason Nick Saban wanted him. But just kind of maybe that role that Cole Adams can maybe play this year, just having that extra guy that you can really put in and rely on.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with everything you just said. There's definitely a place for him in this offense, and that's something that a lot of people who just look up 24/7 profiles and whatnot, I know some people might watch something like this and think they're not one of those, but obviously there are people that are, and there is going to be a place in this offense for him, no matter what you look up on Google. There is. If they were wanted originally, there's always a place for them somewhere. And whether or not they let time factor into that is what we now know as the transfer portal. And I admire the fact he's been around.
Yeah, I think, like you said, there's a role for him. I think, I don't know if it'll happen or not, but there are 7 or 8 receivers that I think can play in this offense and get reps this year. I think Ryan Williams is one of them. Caleb Odom now is one of them. You got Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law. I think Cole Adams, I think Emmanuel Henderson, Jeremy Bernard. So there are at least 7 guys that I think could really contribute to the offense. It's just
I
outstanding.
have to talk about it because we're talking about Emmanuel Henderson. I'm going to kind of throw things off here, but I love the New Jersey numbers. Some of the guys are
I love 3. I love it. Yeah.
I love the 3. I love Jihad wearing 11. I like Latham wearing 0. I think Overton was wearing, I think it's either 22 or 28.
Yeah.
James Smith is wearing 3. Yeah, I think I love it. And then I love Lawson wearing 0. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Prentice is wearing what?
Smoked
6?
out visor, wear 0. Yeah.
Dude, if we get Lawson a smoke visor, a little neck pad with the 0, dude. Cowboy collar.
They've that's another guy that's hung around. I think he was he's been around for next year. He's been around for next year. He's gonna be a junior. But Henderson. I think he's kind of worked his way. Up there. That's been someone whose name you've seen a lot this offseason that you get a lot of excitement talking about the future with.
Yeah, he's lanky and he's fast. I think he had inconsistent hands, which is why, it was hard to see the field. Last year he dealt with injuries, but, it's
extremely difficult in an offense going from a Saban to Bob to Tommy Rees kind of hybrid offense. Granted, a lot of Alabama fans didn't like what they saw, and that's in no means a disrespect to Tommy Rees. That's just the cold hard truth. There were a lot of casuals or not that just weren't a big fan of it. So being recruited as a running back into those offenses, and now all of a sudden you're being coached into being flipped into a wide receiver and a whole new offense. I would like to give a massive props to Emmanuel Henderson for taking all that on.
I think playing running back in high school really will benefit him.
From the Dothan area.
Yeah, because he has that vision, and there's a little bit of versatility now there as well.
No one does not take benefit from having running back vision. Everyone can use running back vision.
Translates to every skill position on offense. So most definitely. So, we've talked a little about receivers. We mentioned offensive line a little bit, but I want to get y'all's take on another question that I actually, kind of thought of today. What do you think, who and why? So considering coaching changes, considering player, personnel changes, all of that, which position group, either side of the ball, do y'all think will be the most improved position group this year, and why?
So when you mean most improved, are you talking about from the beginning of the year to the end of the year?
I'm talking from last year to this year.
And taking into account the coaching upgrades like we talked about last episode, the biggest ones.
That's going to be a lot of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep in mind.
Honestly, the first group I think of most improved from last year, this year, I was going to say from the beginning of this year to the end of the year, it's hard not to say it's secondary.
Oh, yeah. From the beginning of this year to the end of this year will definitely be the secondary, just because all the youth there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think Keon Sabb is really the anchor. Phenomenal player all around. Obviously, they brought him in from Michigan. He was around plenty of talent up there in Michigan, whether it was the Sanderhill of linebackers up there, and then obviously getting to be around Will Johnson. There is a lot to like from a guy like him, and I thought he really showed a lot at A-Day.
Yeah. The way he
obviously you don't want to talk about A-Day in June going on July.
I mean, he, Damani, and Malachi, all three showed out on
now. Now I'll ask you. So from last year to this year, what group do you think will be the most improved?
I hate having silence on a show like this.
I mean, hey, look, Mac and Cube has it all the time. I've been listening to them.
Trip, if you have,
I think the first group you have to say is, I didn't even think about this. I think the no-brainer. Obviously, a lot of the flaws in youth in the offensive line. Obviously, you really started to work Jane Roberts in there. There was obviously Proctor. The first thing everyone said, obviously, when they saw him was, man, this guy's going to be good. Just a little roll to start off with. Little roll. That is okay, because there are too many. That is just how the sport works. So obviously you're going to have a lot of that. You're going to have obviously Parker anchoring center, Booker. Obviously you've been hearing a lot of him. Obviously, as we talked about earlier in the few, how he's been talking about feeling bigger and better. I say bigger, he's lost weight, but just being the bigger player, being the best player he can be, and maximizing his capacity. You go from that. And then you incorporate Proctor in there. You got Roberts. It's going to be the offensive line, man. Oh, yeah. That's going to be an exciting group. And there's a reason. A lot of people kind of saw obviously people see the way too early best position rankings and all that. It's no surprise to people to see Alabama at the top of that list, or at least it shouldn't be.
Definitely.
Yeah. I that is one of my picks. Trip, what do you got?
So, I mean, I got to agree with the line part, but also I really think receiver is going to be the biggest jump. I mean, obviously we've seen the Jalen Milrose, like
mine.
Sorry?
Y'all took both of mine.
Well, so, I mean, we were talking about this last episode about the coaching upgrades, like with quarterback specifically, Jalen Milroe, we've seen it on Twitter in the spring ball and the summer camps, even his throwing mechanics are cleaned up. His footwork's cleaned up. He's throwing off his forward foot instead of his back foot now. He's doing a lot better with like decision making and everything in between. I mean, all the things that you can ask for him to be better at. So that's obviously going to be a big improvement this season. But, and we were talking about this last episode, like, would you rather have elite, quarterback play or receiver play? That's right. But that's a side note. But anyway, I think receivers are going to be the biggest improvement because, I mean, honestly, I didn't see many drops from Washington. So,
yeah. To add on to what you said, just because I agree with that, I want to say I don't think it was a talent issue last year. I think it was a coaching issue last year.
Yeah, exactly.
I think this wide receiver room has all the talent in the world. I think Kendrick Law, I think Kobe Prentice, et cetera, have all the talent in the world. And I think they're going to be really, really good players. I just think they were utilized wrong. And I think this new offense will benefit them. Better quarterback play will benefit them. Better schemes will benefit them. So I'm with you. But so since y'all took my two, I'm going to go a little, bit, out of the box here. And I'm going to actually say linebackers, inside linebackers specifically. And nothing against Robert Balla. I think he was a good coach, but I think Kane Womack is going to be a better inside linebackers coach.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
I also think the way that Kane Womack's defense plays the swarm defense, I think it will benefit the linebackers more. I think he is better when it comes to, incorporating certain blitz packages and stunts on the defensive line. And maybe not just that the linebackers will be better, but they'll look a lot better. And I think it'll show up on stat pages a lot more, which obviously isn't everything. But when you look at it, I think that improvement will be there just because the defense will be ran, I think, better. Well, not better, but differently. That'll make the linebackers look a lot better. Like when you look at Saban's past defenses, you really kind of notice the defensive line, the edge rushers, those guys, the corners in isolation, because the edge rushers are getting there, causing, coverage picks. There's picks in general that the defensive line is causing. But I think this new defense is really going to showcase the linebackers. And I really think that's something that we'll see this year. And I really think, in general, I think Dawson is going to have, a whole offseason get healthy, which that was his problem last year. And Campbell's obviously put on some good weight. So I think that we're going to see, not that it needed to have a lot of improvement, but I think we're going to see a good amount of improvement from the linebackers as well.
Another room, obviously we've gotten to talk about the skill. We've talked about skill on offense. We've talked about the trenches on offense. We've talked about the skill on defense. And something we have struggled to talk about is the defensive line. I think guys like Tim Smith, I think guys like Keenan, obviously Otis is from October of 2022 to right now. When you really look at the Alabama roster, I don't think there's a lot of guys that I don't think physically and schematically have improved as much as Jaheim Otis has. You're going to have guys like him. You're going to have LT Overton in the mix. You're going to have Jamarian Latham. I think it's just a super exciting time for what's about to happen. Obviously, you're also going to have Damon Payne. That's another room that you're really going to see get in the mix. Me and my dad love to talk about this. The great Alabama teams have always been able to get to the quarterback from inside.
Yeah, they've been able to rush.
That has been we talk whenever there's happens to be a flaw for a few games or it goes cool or inconsistent. Me and him love to talk about that. The great Alabama teams have not just been able to get to the quarterback from the linebacker spot and the edge spot.
Yeah. Getting to the pass,
that's a room that could take a big jump.
If you can get to the passer rushing 4, you're going to win a lot of ball games. And I mean, like you said, the depth on the defensive line is insane. You have veteran leadership, you have veteran talent, you have young talent. You know, I think James Smith is in for a huge year. It looks like he's lost.
Me too.
Yeah, looks like he's a good weight now.
Yep.
Devon Payne still waiting to burst on the scene. Tim Smith has that veteran leadership. Keenan is
Jordan Renaud, obviously, I'm pretty sure he's a newcomer. Jordan Renaud, and he
was 23.
I love Renaud's game so much. He was one of my favorite recruits. I mean, Overton, you know, Latham. I mean, I mean, there is a lot of depth in that room, and all these guys are going to play in that rotation. Freddie Roach should be licking his chops right now because he's going to be able to rotate guys, you know, every down if he wants. Every down if he wants to. And that defensive line is going to be fresh all game. And I really think that we're going to see some stars emerge. And my pick is James Smith. I think that's going to be a guy that, you know, rises to the top this year. But
so he did well in A-Day too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well.
For sure. Yeah. So moving on just a little bit. We were kind of talking about the offensive line a second ago. Coach Cap, who has been proven to be a very, very good recruiter so far. He stated today that Proctor is running with that second group offensive line, and I think I know why. But I'd like to get y'all's thoughts on it too.
I mean, I think it's what's kind of obvious to everybody. He went to the transfer portal. He came back. He lost some time to spring practice with Iowa. He hasn't been with the team as long as some guys have now because of that. So. Plus, on top of that, he may not be at the specific weight that the staff wants him at, so that might be part of the issue. But I think it's really because he went into the portal, and now he's got to earn his spot back at left tackle. I think it's because he doesn't have as much time as he could have had anymore, especially with the new staff. So he's got to earn his spot back.
And I think something that obviously the first thing people question when you do something like that is continuity. Obviously, that's been something that when all of us who have been watching this for going on 2 decades now, that's kind of gonna be my add-on to what he said. But obviously, you want continuity, and we're all thrilled he's back. Obviously, there's not a single person on this call or a single person watching this show that has never made a mistake. And going off what he said, he's gonna get his work. So he'll be right back to where he was, and he'll be a guy I'm excited about.
Yeah, I think this is a great way for the staff to also send a message to the rest of the team saying, "Hey, look, I get you started last year, but this isn't last year. You got to work. You got to work to earn and maintain that spot that you earned last year. It's. I mean, guys are going to get better, and guys could pass you. So, we got freshmen coming in who are talented. We got sophomores rising up that are finally starting to catch their stride. But no, I agree. I think that it's just a matter of you got to earn your spot back.
Definitely.
Exactly. I am for sure with you. So, any other thoughts on the team in general? Anything y'all have seen recently y'all want to talk about before we hop into a little bit more?
Just the pure excitement about all this. Obviously, I'm going to go back to the day that basically puts us where we are right now. I mean, January 10th, the day it all happened. I think it was January 10th. Yeah, because the national championship was Monday the 8th. 10th, that Wednesday, first day of class. I mean, the day Coach Saban retired. I mean, I remember I was in my apartment. I had just gotten in from just my day. And I remember I walked in and saw that. And one of my roommates had screamed, "Hudson!" Whatever. And I just remember thinking oh my God. But the next thing I thought was how exciting is all this?
Yeah.
You either have to adapt or die.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't even really almost had the chance to adapt because obviously there's been quilts thrown along the way. There's been NIL. There's been the 4-team playoff that at the end of the day was started because Alabama and LSU were the two best teams in 2011. Thanks, Oklahoma State. But that's a topic. You really get back to things like that. Now there is truly a curveball thrown our way, and we have to make a change. And that's what's exciting.
Yeah.
From someone, and I'm going to say this openly, I want to work. That's what I want to be doing one day. I want to get my guy. I mean, that's what I want to do for a living. And so to truly get the concept, or to truly grasp the concept of change, that's the exciting part. And change is exciting. So this season is just going to be beyond exciting. I'm
totally. The reason I want to get into the football operations and recruiting inside of like a college program is because I love the idea of helping build a team and helping be a part of a team's success, and kind of getting those guys the staff wants, and kind of watching everything mold together, which is very exciting. And obviously at first back in January things weren't molding too well. It seemed like the world was ending, but as time went on and as Debose kind of got his handlings, hired his staff, went on the road, things started to come together, and you've seen that this summer, especially through recruiting. I mean, it's just been
it's funny talking about the world ending, because people forget Mike Shula got fired, and it was either November 27th or November 28th. Nick Saban didn't get hired until I think it was January 3rd. Mm-hmm. That's the amazing part. Those people acted like cats were falling on fire from the sky. And it took 49 hours to find a head coach. And that's the amazing part, just going from the most chaotic 49 hours 5 months ago to right now. We're sitting here looking at it, and everything's right there. Yeah. Everything is right here.
Like, we lost some guys to the portal, which obviously stinks. We lost a lot of key pieces. But you look at this team. I mean, you lose guys like Caleb Downs, and you're gonna see, that it sucks. Let's be honest. You lose a guy like Trey Imus. It's unfortunate. However, you look at this roster, and it's as talented as the best rosters in college football.
Exactly.
There's young guys. Look at it, you're like, why not win it all this year? I mean, this team, there's a new energy. This team, I was watching the video today they posted. I mean, this team looks 110% bought in right now. And you can see that. I mean, just the way they're hanging out with recruits, the past few months on Twitter, just them being super vocal about, where this program is going. I saw Devontae Smith, Smith 2.0, Devontae Smith on Twitter earlier. And he was saying how grateful he is for these recruits trusting Debose and all this, and how excited he is for the future. And I'm excited, man. I mean, even there is nothing. I mean, the only thing standing in this team's way is itself this year. And I don't think they'll do that. I think this team is mature. This team is hungry. And I think that, this is a very exciting time. And I told my friend, even when saying that, I'm like, this is new. Like, this is exciting. This is something that, like, I'll have to get used to, but, it's kind of fun at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, y'all were talking about how like everybody's so bought in, and that's part of what I love about it, is that the team chemistry is there. I mean, it has been 5 months, but I mean, still, like, it's a whole new empire now. It's a whole new regime, and the fact that they're already just so bought in, they're so into the process already, and so they have so much chemistry with each other just now. It's awesome. I love that. But you were talking about recruiting just now. That's another thing that I have been loving seeing on Twitter and on Instagram and everywhere, is that we have player-led recruiting now, and I love that.
Oh, we were talking about Jefferson the other week, and you saying, that was the player's idea. Like, we wanted to do that, and I'm like, that's new, but I mean, it's new, but I love it. Like, that's awesome. Yeah. And you also, kind of going back on the topic about just new and exciting, you gotta give Saban a lot of credit for where he left this program. He didn't ride the program down. He left while the program was still on top. He left while he built something good. He set us up for success. Didn't drag us down to like an 8-4 season and then leave. So I'm not trying to say it was time for change, because obviously losing Coach Saban is unfortunate, and hope he enjoys your time. It's unfortunate. I mean, father time comes for us all, but it just kind of seems like in this new day and age, I don't want to say it might have been time for a change, but it just seems like I don't really know how to put it.
I mean, we were talking about that last step. Sorry.
Well, it just seems like, if it were a time to happen, I think now is a good time.
Yeah, we were talking about that last episode and how, I mean, you were asking me, it was something about the coaching, like if I think, I can't remember what the question was, but I basically said, yeah, DeBoer has the energy coming in. He is more built for this era of college football with the NIL and everything, and I love that about him because it is working like a charm. It is wonderful, and you can see that very clearly.
What are you saying, Hudson?
We do what we want to do because we were bought into something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We were bought into a set of ideas. And whether it's politics, whether it's ball, whether it's your job, you have to be bought in on something to be able to maximize your capabilities doing whatever you want to do.
Sure.
And that's what I think this new group has done so well. And that is never, ever to say the old group didn't do as well, because they did.
Right.
But it's just the manner in which they're doing it is different.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're talking about the player-based recruiting. That's something that you've really started to see so much more. And there's two different ways of doing it. And I don't think that's something a lot of people wrap their head around, is there's two different ways of doing it. And Alabama just so happens to be the best at both of them.
Yeah, both ways.
As of right now, in the past 2 months. Yeah. Obviously, it doesn't matter. You want to be the best no matter where you are. But I think it's hard to say right now, and the momentum they have, it's hard to not say Alabama's done it the best. And both of the two ways, obviously, we're still young doing it the new way. But you've done it the old way, and you've done it the new way. So there's a lot of good to take away from both. And that kind of leads back to buying into something. You had to buy it. You've recruited kids that were mature enough to do it either way. And that's just more props to them.
Definitely.
I'm with you. I think combining what you and Tripp just said, like, there's two ways to do it, right? But also there's a new era. And I think, it kind of combines, like, this other way to do it is it's becoming more of the norm with this new era. And I think the staff, and you see it too, if you look at other teams' recruiting photos and stuff, none of them had these player-led, none of them had these players in the photos, whatever. But then, as the summer keeps going, you start seeing it more. And you're like, where'd this start? Tuscaloosa. They started Tuscaloosa. Georgia started doing it. Ohio State started doing it. And then it kind of got picked up. So Alabama has done a great job. Saban did a great job of adapting before other teams even adapted. And you're seeing this staff now adapting even farther than some of these other teams are adapting so far. And now they're following them. And it goes back to this, Alabama is the standard. This new staff has proven that time and time again. And I think it's really exciting to see, how ahead of the game they are right now and how hard they're working. So yeah, I agree with both of y'all.
Definitely.
For sure. I guess if that's all we have, team-wise, we can kind of just, end it off. We got a few decisions coming up. Most notably, for y'all it'll be tomorrow. We got Dijon Lee committing out of Mission Viejo in California. Been a Bama and Georgia battle. He visited Georgia 2 weekends ago, visited Bama last weekend. Actually was one of DeBoer's first defensive offer when he got to Alabama. He's visited campus multiple times.
Yeah.
6'4" corner, lanky, has good hands, good instincts, super athletic guy, can really jump out of the gym. Kind of want to, if y'all watched any of his film, I know I have, but kind of want to get y'all's thoughts on Dijon as a player.
He was in town, 4 times in 8 days or something like that? I think
that was offered.
Dang it, yeah, that's him. Getting them confused.
I will say Lee's been in town 3 or 4 times, and for living in California is pretty impressive.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a lot of flying.
Yeah.
But the thing, a guy I'll relate Dijon Lee to, just in terms of size and structure, Zay Mincy. I think Zay Mincy will really flow into someone you'll see get snaps in the incoming future. I think you're going to see him really start to work his way into the grand scheme of things. And that's the kind of player I think Dijon Lee is. Obviously, Dijon's from California. He's a guy who that was kind of Debose's former 3-year kind of territory. And I think that's a good way to relate to them. Obviously, he's going to be in kind of the Pac-12 territory. And I think that's the kind of thing that I think Debose brought in so well, is being able to go get some of these guys that are the cream of the crop Pac-12 talent.
Yeah.
And then turn them, put SEC ball in them in a sense. I don't really know if I'm saying that right.
Sure.
And then turn them into a flourished Alabama defensive back. I'm going to say it now. That's my crystal ball. Just from what I've seen, I think Dijon Lee is crimson and white and eating Dreamland ribs this time in 2 days. But that's a guy I'm really excited about. He has really good tangibles. And that's the first thing I thought of was Zay Mincy.
Yeah. I mean, not even intangibles. Like, obviously he has the intangibles, like you're saying, but his athleticism with those intangibles is just ridiculous. Just the way he moves, the way his athleticism is off the charts. And that's a guy that I think Alabama has a good shot at landing his commitment from early this weekend. So moving on.
There's a little clip of him for you.
I mean, you just watch. I mean, he's 6'4" and he's tracking with these receivers that are. I mean, this Bama staff has a type. You look at the receivers they're recruiting, there's some big receivers. You look at the corners and safeties they're recruiting, there's some big corners and safeties. I mean, yeah, he's good. He's very good.
And that's the division of California football. Mission Viejo is they have put out college talent before.
Oh, yeah.
And that is a legitimate division of high school football. This is not going to be it. This isn't a Lettahatchee High School type deal at all.
I love how he fights for the ball every single play too. I love that.
He has good hands, great hands.
Moving on. That's a lot of Eli Ricks in that.
Yeah,
a lot of Eli Ricks.
I did have a little random topic that I wanted to share. So I saw something today. It was from a few days ago, but the NCAA D1 Council approved any staff member to provide technical and tactical instruction to athletes. This means as many coaches as a program wants on the sideline during the season. So what do y'all think about that?
I'll tell you that is beneficial for people wanting to get into coaching and getting into analytics and all of that stuff.
For sure.
That makes payroll interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't really have much thought on it unless you do, Hudson.
I'm about to say the same thing. Obviously, what we want to do, we're going to be working around hopefully one day similar scenarios. I really don't think it'll change a whole lot. There's going to be a lot of really phenomenal people. When y'all said that, one of my good buddies who is a manager at Alabama, Chris White, I'm actually going to send this to him after the show. I know he's a phenomenal mind. He's our age and our age range. I know that people like him, a lot of these people who are really, really, really knowledgeable of the game. People like that will really benefit from it. But I think if we're really looking towards the top-heavy part of it, I don't think it's going to change much.
No.
You'll have some different guys go. Maybe some roles are changed in terms of flipping signs and whatnot. But top heavy, I don't think too much will change, but that is never a bad thing. There's not a single bad takeaway that I can think of from that.
No, I think that this also gives guys that might not get that opportunity before the opportunity to get on staff and prove themselves, as has really good knowledge and really good understanding of what they're doing. So I think, it's a great opportunity for people that might not have had that opportunity before. So that's what I have from. But yeah,
I hope we're both one of them at some point.
Most definitely. We'll have to stay in contact about it for sure. But another, big recruiting news. We got 2 guys out of the state of Mississippi, and obviously recruiting in the state of Mississippi is always a nightmare. It's never fun. It's dirty. It is these kids. I mean, not the kids, the schools, but the kids. You never know what happen. But Alabama recently picked up a lot of momentum with, in my opinion, the number 1 running back in the class, A.K. Deer.
Yeah.
A lot of predictions to flip from Ole Miss. He committed out of the blue back in the spring. It seemed like Alabama was a leader there, but committed to Ole Miss. Been committed to Ole Miss, but now he's starting to flirt with Alabama. Took a visit to Alabama. He's a guy that I'd love to have. I mean, if you question his competition, just look at his measurements. I mean, he's about 6 feet tall, 200 pounds, and watch how he moves. I mean,
He's the top 2 running back in the class for a reason.
I think it's him, Harlem Berry, and then big gap, and then everyone else. I think that he's good. Daniel Hill's been kind of crucial recruiting him. You know, from the state of Mississippi, they played each other in high school. Good friends, both running backs. But you also got Caleb Cunningham, another big name out of Mississippi. Mississippi's loaded this year. Caleb Cunningham, a top receiver on one of the top receivers on Alabama's board, might be committing soon. You know, just released that top 6 schools. But I think a commitment's coming soon, and that's another guy. I mean, you watch his film, he can go up and get it, but he can also burn you on the sidelines. I mean, he can move for being 6'2", 6'3", and he has a good frame to add some good weight too. So.
A guy off the top of my head that I think of when I watched his film in the past 48 to 72 hours. I went back and checked up on it. Ra Thomas from Mississippi State. Obviously, that's not meant to be a pitch. That's not meant to be a pitch their way or anything. But obviously, I mean, he transferred out. But Ra was one of those guys that when he entered the portal 2 years ago, I guess last year, the last offseason, that's a guy I wanted Alabama to go get. He can burn you either way, and he can go up and get it. Great size. I'm not going to say too much about it, but the first thing I think of when I think of Caleb Cunningham is a guy like Ra Thomas.
Yeah, I agree. I think even talking a little bit more recent, not trying to put, skill to skill comparisons, but I think just play style wise, I think he reminded me a lot of Cam Coleman. The build, the way he moves, the way he can get it.
100%.
Yeah. So I think that's both, I think, great comparison. I didn't even think of Ra Thomas. That's a great one. I ended up transferring to Georgia, so he doesn't even know anything about Mississippi State. But anyways, what do we got next on their trip?
Well, we've got so pretty much upcoming decision dates. I mean, if you want to talk about Javion Campbell, recent predictions, that's what he's under. Some upcoming decision dates. We got Justin Hill coming up, Dejoun Lee, obviously. Derek Meadows is coming up. According to Steve Wiltfong, by the way, guys, as of 3 days ago, to those of you in the audience, Steve Wiltfong predicted that Alabama leads. So there's that. Khalil Lockett is coming up. Travis Smith is coming up.
Yeah, receiver dominoes are pretty interesting right now. I think it's really going to come down to who commits first.
Yeah.
Emma's in a great spot with Meadows and a great spot with Cunningham. I think that, Travis Smith committing in mid-August is kind of reading the tea leaves and saying, I don't think there's going to be room by then. But I think a guy Meadows actually just moved his commitment date up from September to sometime in July, which I think might, make some people think like maybe he wants that spot. Cunningham's committing in July. Khalil Lockett's committing in early August. So it's really just going to depend on how the dominoes fall. Alabama wants one more receiver. They would love 2 more. 1 more is the goal right now. But all guys are talented. And I think a thing you see theme-wise with these receivers is they're all big, tall targets.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's kind of – obviously, Latsier Brooks is already committed. And he's, in my opinion, one of the best receivers in the country. But that's a story for another day. I think this staff has typed because they've seen the success they've had with big receivers like McMillan and Adunze and Polk over at Washington.
Yeah. And dude, I mean, I've been saying that Latsier Brooks should be a 5-star. I mean, that dude's speed is just freaking insane. He's the fastest one in the class, and it's not even really close either. He is so speedy. And one of my favorite pieces of film on him, and I've showed you this like 100 times, is that part of his highlights where he is in traffic and then he just turns the jets on. He's gone. Yeah. It is awesome. I love that highlight. And I mean, it showcases so much of his speed and his skill set. It's awesome.
So I know people throw this guy out as a comparison for a lot of guys, but he really is Jalen Waddle to me. Just size, his athleticism at the size. Like if you remember, Waddle wasn't the tallest dude, but he could jump. I mean, he got just the way he can get up at his speed, his burst, his twitchiness, and also his comp. People questioned Waddle coming out of high school because he played at a small school in Texas. He didn't have the greatest comp. And last year doesn't play the greatest comp either, but I really think that that's a pretty spot on comparison for both of them.
Definitely. What you think, Hudson?
No, 100%. They, I think where you were talking about filling in with obviously the group and moving up commitment dates, I think that's a big deal, obviously in terms of roster management, and obviously that's what a lot of player personnel deals with.
Yeah. Well, next up we've got sorry.
I was just going to continue.
Oh yeah. Next up we've got Josiah Sharma. He's coming up on June 28th, along with Dejon Lee, and then touch on him for a second.
Yeah. So Sharma, he was actually committed to Washington. Committed to Washington on New Year's Day. Decommitted when Kalen left, or about a week or two after Kalen left. He's been to Tuscaloosa a lot. Been considered a heavy Bama lean, but Texas is making it hard. Last I've seen, it's about 50-50. Commits Friday, and this is a guy that I could see rising a lot in the rankings. He's about 6'5", 300-ish pounds, and he moves. I mean, he gets sideline to sideline, and he disrupts the middle. And that's a guy that you've seen Bama, Oregon, Texas all make priorities for him. So obviously a highly coveted and a really talented guy. So
definitely. And then we've got Alex Olish on that's how you pronounce it, on July 1st, and then Jordan Davison also on June 28th.
So I'll just finish off the last few just because it's pretty quick. But Justin commits on July 3rd. Like we said earlier, Bama, Ohio State battle right now. In-state kid in Ohio, so that's a tough pull always, but we'll see how that one goes. Alex Olish just finished his Michigan visit. Momentum seems to be on the Michigan side, just because just finished Michigan visit, and that's kind of been the talk of this whole recruitment. Bama's right there; they're number 2. That's a top 2 of Bama and Michigan right now. So we'll see how that one plays out. We'll see what he decides to do. And then we got guys like Javion Campbell, who might be deciding soon. Kentucky was, seen as the leader for a while, but Bama's made some noise in his recruitment at the OV. So that's another guy that you want to keep your eye on. There's a lot of guys right now that are close to making decisions. So it's going to be an exciting month and a half.
It's peak season right now, no doubt.
I mean, Bama's going to have a damn near full class by the start of the season.
Yeah. I mean, like we were saying before, Andrew Bone on 3. I mean, he said 20+ by August, so I'm fully expecting it.
Yeah, I think that they're going to get the guys their priorities, and then they're going to save a few spots during the season for some guys as well, just to continue to recruit these guys. But yeah, there's no doubt that this is it's been a big month, and it's going to continue the rest of the summer. Like we said, it's a chilly summer. Ironically, it's like an insanely hot summer. It is.
You have no idea.
Yeah. So,
oh my God. Down here, dude, it is suffocating.
Yeah. Man, I'm in city and it's 95 degrees, 98 degrees.
Yeah.
I can't imagine down there.
Yeah, especially with all the thunderstorms down here, it gets humid as crud, dude. Oh my God. I'm walking into businesses during the day for my job, and oh my Lord, dude, 5 seconds after I get out of my car, I'm already sweating. It's crazy.
How it goes. Well, and if we have any topics that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to touch on real quick?
I think we're good. I thought we covered a lot in a good amount of time, very fair amount of time.
Yeah, sweet. For sure. Yeah, we definitely ran a bit, but no, good conversation. We enjoyed it having you on. Definitely want to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd love to come back. I enjoyed everything.
Absolutely, man.
For sure. Alrighty. We appreciate everyone for watching. Always, like, subscribe, anything to help us build up the channel. But yeah, that's about all I got.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank y'all for watching episode 7. It's been a blast tonight. We've really enjoyed it, and be on the lookout for episode 8. So roll tide, God bless, and have y'all a good night.